Hello everyone, my name is Jacob Adams. I'm a fitness and leadership coach. I'm also the creator of the concept known as common sense self-mastery. The concept that teaches about that in order to master ourselves, we usually have to take that first step that we know is the best one for us. I'm here with Jose Garza. Jose, do you want to tell the viewers a little bit about yourself?
Yes, I'm an SCC student here in McAllen, Texas. I'm going for my associates in criminal justice and my bachelor's in social work.
Awesome. And we're going to tell. Basically, we were talking about some of the struggles that people go through. Like, for example, in suicide, specifically the topic of suicide. The other day, for example, one of my friends calls me and she says, Jacob, a close friend of mine that you met, shot themselves in the head. And naturally, there's no preparation for that. There's no script that a person has for that. Sort of just silence. And then this was within the last 60 days, just to kind of protect their identity. And then another friend of mine said, I really struggle with suicidal thoughts. And this person really told me that I really struggle with them. And so we ourselves, we've talked about the topic of suicide, and that's why I said everything sort of started coming to the surface. And some of my heroes, even people alive today, say they struggle with suicidal thoughts. And I said, well, wow, let's talk about it. Let's get the video out. What about you? Do you have any stories that you'd like to share like that, Jose?
Just mainly with a lot of my friends in the military have dealt with that as well. It's not really. A lot of people like to say when they think of PTSD and stuff like that, it's just mainly referred to soldiers. Today is Veterans Day, so that's a good time to talk about it.
Yeah, it just happened to line up today, almost like that.
And honestly, the PTSD and depression, all that stuff affects everybody on a very very deep and personal level, and I wouldn't say that it just happens to veterans and soldiers, and so it's something that we really have to touch up on. It's not, to me, I don't really consider it a sickness. I wouldn't go to as far as calling it a sickness, considering it a sickness, but it really is a topic that needs to be addressed. That too few have the idea that there is anyone out there to address these problems with. They feel isolated, alone, so they in turn turn to drugs, alcoholism, which makes the situation that much more worse. And in some cases, even going as far as committing the act itself. So, but yes, it's definitely something that we have to really touch up on.
Has the topic or the situation or the occurrence of suicide affected your inner circle? Like, again, for me, it was within 2 degrees and 1 degree of my circle, meaning the 0 degrees is ourselves, right? That's like within 2 degrees, 2 steps this way, this person shot themselves. Has the suicide affected anyone within your circle at all? Obviously, suicide affecting them means they took their own life.
Luckily, nobody that I know has actually committed the act itself, but the stories alone really do touch home. It's not something that we really want to be, we would really like to wish on anybody.
Of course not.
So the story alone does, have its, you do sympathize with the person on a personal level, yes.
Okay. So nothing, luckily nothing in your immediate circle. It's mainly the stories that you've heard through the news or through friends of friends, maybe.
Yeah, and even actors, again,
Robin Williams
and Bennington. I didn't know them personally, but just knowing who they were, and just I do sympathize with them, and me hearing stories from my friends and everyone like that, I try to empathize. I try to put myself in their shoes, and I try to uncover why, those thoughts come to mind, why someone would go as far as committing the act itself.
Right.
So I'm not one to be closed-minded as to say, okay, they just committed the act.
So, and that's sort of where our discussions were taking place a little bit earlier, a few months ago or 2 months ago, a month ago, that, you told me that you were interested in the discovering sort of the premise as to why it occurs. Did you, and I don't think you shared that per se fully.
No.
Maybe we've picked up some things here and there, but why, what's your best sort of, these are the key ideas as to why it's happening?
Well, to me, like, I just have, like theories and this stuff that obviously aren't backed up. I still need to do much more research, and there's a meta-analysis I have yet to conduct. But the bottom line is that I really don't think, again, I don't think it's a sickness. I think it's something that accumulates over time, that I believe that there is a home for it within our brain. There's a part of our brain, I believe, that can obviously be found in that area, which again, gives us the ability to act without having any remorse for the act conducted. One of the things I kind of gave me that idea was the fact that when we do consume alcohol, sometimes we go on this like autopilot state where we black out, and apparently our body is still functioning. We are still enacting different things, but we are doing it without any, without a care for the outcome.
Like
it's drunk driving.
In other words, our consciousness or our higher consciousness is out of commission, but yet almost like the reptilian brain or our animal self is on autopilot of sorts. It's sort of what you were getting at on some levels,
so
right?
you have like no remorse or like no idea of the consequence. You have no care for the consequences that could come forth by what action you do take. And in this case,
do you think that potentially then, we know one of the things that we talked about is that, do you think potentially there's demonic forces that influence a person under the influence of narcotics, like marijuana or drinking? And again, it's sort of a loaded question, I know that. That's sort of where I'm gravitating to through just studying in all my life. I'm gravitating towards, there is such a thing as an evil influence, and if we open up the portals of our higher consciousness to, allow these things in, they can influence us even for just whether it's a minute, a second, one of the best ways to think about it is like in everyday life, sometimes we're driving in a car and like, what if I just drove my car off this cliff or something? Or what if I just ran into this wall? Like there's like an invitation of sorts from some other part, and you almost like realize like, that's a crazy thought, but it just sort of, it's like looking at a fish go through the streams, like, what was that? And it sort of comes and it goes. Like, it's not like you're not really going to do it, but for 1 second, it just kind of went. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
So again, it's a loaded question, but I gave you an example that kind of put together and see if you can see and what's your thoughts on that? Do you think that there is such a thing as demonic forces? And again, I'd love to hear to say no, but I'm not trying to lead you in that direction.
No, like in a religious aspect, yes, definitely. There are. I believe that there is evil.
Yeah.
There's obviously evil. There's good. There's evil. I'm not very religious, but I do believe that there are in some cases, again, like drugs and alcohol that do, like as you say, do invite the evils it just opens up that portal to invite the evil in.
Yeah, and like, so what might, for example, I wrote down here like some of the things I wanted to talk about is, you know, okay, so start off. So you think that it's sort of okay? I think part of the reason that suicide occurs, people do call it depression. That's one of the key elements people will link to. Again, one of my heroes, currently alive today. I won't tell you who he is. He admittedly comes out online and speaks thoroughly, like, I'm depressed. Sometimes I battle depression and I think about committing suicide sometimes, et cetera, et cetera. I've had these thoughts, and I got taken aback about that. And I think, so maybe there is some kind of chemical imbalance that occurs in the brain. I'm not an expert in psychology or psychotherapy, so I'm not going to be able to say yes or no as to why, if that's the main reason or the main cause. All I know is that in my personal life, what I've seen is there was one time, like in 2016, for example, I was having a really good day, but I hadn't rested enough, and I was under stress, and I was having a good day, but then all of a sudden, I got like a ton of bricks. I don't know if I was just extremely fatigued, like a ton of bricks. I had a suicidal thought. I was like, man. And again, I am not depressed. I did not want to, cultivate that thought or follow that thought or, say, oh, celebrate that or even listen to that thought. I did not on any level. It's just that I think my hormones or something within my body sort of just plummeted on me. And I was just in this really weird inner low. Again, I was high. And then I was just like, so what I did was I showered, as simple as it is, I showered, drank my Spark and went off to a meeting, and I had an amazing meeting. I mean, that's a true story. So I don't know if other people feel that and they kind of keep writing that out. They kind of follow the rabbit hole. It's almost like, for me, it felt like an invitation it's like an invitation, like the rabbit saying, come on, come down the rabbit hole. And it's sort of like, dude, that looks so gloomy. And I don't know, but do people just keep looking at it? Like, you're like, okay, yeah, let's go down the rabbit hole.
It's like addressing the elephant in the room. Like, no one wants to do it. Like, I'm more than positive everyone has one point in their life feel depressed for absolutely no apparent reason. It's not, again, I don't think it's just strictly a sickness that, oh, you need to be on medications for, you need to see somebody for it. Like, I honestly think it's something that people just don't honestly come out and say, like, damn, I have felt like that before, because they have that idea that if I do say that, they're gonna think I need medication or I need to be seen by some sort of doctor or something. Right.
And which is why, in large part, sincerely, this is why we're making this video, because
it's just part of being human, and a lot of people don't really.
They kind of like say, like, okay, well, I better not tell. And again, I'm seeing, like, if you either watch my videos, if you watch my philosophies, if you watch what I'm about, I'm a very positive. People know me to be very positive. It's just that I wanted to go deep for, like, obviously, I know people struggling with depression, and my heroes are struggling with depression. And someone in my inner circle of, like, not my immediate inner circle, but like two circles over, committed suicide. Like, this person was young, and they're gone. And so clearly, if we're having these issues, I wanted to take a moment and say, okay, well, look, I've had a thought like that. It's come to my mind, and it sort of happens sometimes hormonally, chemically, or sometimes the challenges of life sort of try to seduce somebody, almost just like somebody at Victoria's Secret may try to seduce us into, seeing them in lingerie. I think there's a seductive element towards self-pity and sort of saying, I'm special, I'm different, and my problems are more powerful than anyone else's, and I have to out myself. And then, again, that's like bitterness. It kind of leads like, okay, my problems are this, and nobody understands me, and I should not be dealing with, and I'm bitter, and then boom. And we saw 1 weekend ago, exactly 1 week now, here in a few hours, that guy that goes into a church and slays 26 people with a gun. I mean, I think that's sort of the same. He basically was committing suicide. He may have committed suicide that day. right?
Oh, like the one
In upstate in San Antonio, like in that San Antonio area.
no, but the one in Vegas, he did commit suicide.
Exactly. You see what I'm saying? So it's like there's this level of like a black hole of evil that sort of expresses itself, and I think that it finds its way to individuals. You know, like bitterness leads them down this hole, and then, you know, like they follow the rabbit hole, and then they come out on the other end like maniacs, and they're like, you know what, it's over. You know, and they don't just take their own life. But what's your thoughts on that?
I mean, that to a degree is I would say it's just a much more powerful version of suicide itself, because you're not just, you know, wanting to end your life. It's like a mixture of knowing that, okay, you're gonna do this, but I'm gonna take others down with me. Innocent lives that obviously don't deserve that. But I honestly can't really explain as to why, you know, someone would do something like that. Why the thought of taking others down with them?
For me though, and for me, like especially with this one here, this one that happened a weekend ago, when somebody walks into a church and takes out 26 people, to me that's a clear indication of a demonic force. If any, like, I mean, if there is such a thing as a demonic force, number one, then that was it. Because, I mean, what else would a demonic force do but that, right? These people were on a Sunday, you know, they got dressed up for church, took their family, you know, they were like in the purest of heart saying, you know, let me go do something positive for my life. And this guy said, and that's exactly what I want to go destroy. So it's such a it was like a collision of hate and evil.
And it could fall on the person. Like, again, I don't know anything about neither of the two incidents of the males' backgrounds, but you know, it could have a lot to do with their upbringing, the environment they grew up in, the home they lived in, you know, or it just could be something that just accumulated as they got older. Because not a lot of people like to think it, but in philosophy I learned that we are constantly changing. Who we are now, sometimes even years later, is like not the same person at all.
That's fair.
In some cases, and it could be either a positive or a negative change. But in that sense, you know, I never really had that idea until I started, you know, digging into philosophy. And then so in this sense, you know, again, like I said, I don't know the two guys' backgrounds, but you know, that could be, again, it could be probably a negative upbringing that just